Acho, Acho.
You know what primetime say? Look good, feel good, play good, and if you play good, they pay you like Marcellus. So I'm on route. I'm on route, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you crisp up, too?
I did. I crisped up a little bit. It's going to be a show now.
Boy, you need to be on some hair grease as that guy. Looking so suave over there. All right, so much going on in Dallas. I'm up here losing. Let's get it started with the Cowboys, who are off to a disappointing 2-4 start after Monday night's blowout loss, but that's not it. NFL Network's Jane Slater reported yesterday that some anonymous Cowboy players called out the coaching staff. One player even said, quote, they just aren't good at their jobs. Wow. Mike McCarthy addressed the criticism yesterday. Take a listen.
I've always stated this to every team that I've coached. I think it's important to handle things as men. I mean, if you do have something to say publicly that is of most importance, I think it's important to say it to the individual, particularly in a group dynamic setting, and especially in the game of football, especially for the Dallas Cowboys.
Sacho, worried Mike McCarthy has lost the Cowboys locker room. Gone.
I'm not worried about it because it's already happened.
Oh, you ain't right.
Marcellus, you worry about something that you're fearful of. You worry about something that's looming, right? You might be sick and you might worry about dying, but once you've passed away, you can't worry about death no more.
They're dead?
You gone. As far as the Cowboys locker room, yes, and Mike McCarthy is gone.
Oh, wow.
I'm not worried about it because Mike McCarthy has, in fact, lost the locker room. America, let me put you on game. The Cowboys skipped steps in their demise, in their internal demise.
I like it.
After you have some struggles, and you'll know this, Marcellus, you'll be able to finish this.
What you mean struggle? I had no struggles.
After in the NFL or as a team.
What you mean?
As a team. Calm down, Marcellus. Calm down.
Calm down.
After you have some struggles, the first thing you have is a players-only meeting.
I hated them. I hated them.
That's the first one. That's the first sign of destruction is a players-only meeting. You kick out all the coaches, and one of the rah-rah guys gets up to the front and says, hey, fellas, we got to get this thing right, okay? Okay?
What up?
We got to play for our families. We got to play for this team. We got to play for these checks. Okay? Now, that never works.
Nope.
So you have to have another players-only meeting. You usually have two, You have the second players-only meeting because the first one didn't work.
Let's be real this time.
Hey, let's be real, okay, fellas? Hey, we made some improvements, but let's be real. We got to be better. After the second players-only meeting is usually when this happens. Now you start calling people out anonymously. The Cowboys, Marcellus, they were so bad that they skipped the steps of destruction. How do you skip your players-only meetings and jump directly to anonymous criticism, bro? I'm not worried about the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy losing the locker room. He's already lost the locker room. Now it's just a matter of what can you salvage.
Nah, see, great examples, because all those things are true, but it's not true about the Dallas Cowboys.
Talk to me.
First, they can't be dead, as you say in this locker room. It can't be dead. They're first in their division. That's not dead. That's life. Even though it's limping around, it's still life. They lost a lot of games, but they have not lost this locker room. But this is what losing teams do. They leak. They just exude the lack of confidence that turns into a blame game. And no one wants to look into the mirror, at least first, and blame that person. So what's happening here is the players and the coaches, their names are still anonymous in this report. And you know what that tells me? That there's still a little fear or a little respect left. Think about it. If they would have went out there and put their names on it and put the coaches' names on it, we got a problem. There's a big difference from Marcellus coming up here and saying, at times, don't speak for yourself. I don't think everyone's prepared. At times it's not the most well-produced show. Versus I'm like, hey, Coven tripping. Acho sucks. And then you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. We have now lost a locker room. This is a locker room that may be in critical condition, but it is still worth saving. I look around and I'm looking at what they really have lost is they lost their MVP. And they lost their quarterback. They lost their leader. They lost their belief in their cowbell in terms of Ezekiel Elliott and his production. They've lost their offensive line in terms of the presence they used to have. They lost their defense in terms of what they've been able to do in years past and what they're doing right now. What they've lost is not necessarily schematic. They've lost the effort and they've lost the ability to outplay other teams. Don't put that on the coaching staff. That's not a locker room issue as much as when you step on that field. What are you doing?
I agree with a lot of what you said, but I have to disagree and push back on some things. Number one, they did lose their quarterback and they did lose their MVP.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's a huge loss in the NFL. If you ever lose your quarterback, you live and you die by your quarterback.
Much right.
But even when they had their quarterback, they had still lost their way around the defense. They had still lost their way schematically in some degrees. Here is what I have to correct for those watching. It is no longer a player or an effort issue. It is a schematic issue.
Oh, you're going to clean this up?
No, I'm going to show this. I want to talk about 2 minutes left in the game. Let's take a look at this play. Kenyon Drake scores from 69 yards out. Cardinals aren't even trying to beat you, just run out the clock. I'm going to highlight 2 players after I highlight the time. That's the safety Xavier Woods. That's the safety Donovan Wilson. Watch those 2 men. Those are the only reason they score. And you're going to see it from another angle. And when you see it from the other angle, you're going to see exactly what went wrong. 2 safeties are in the box in linebacker positions. They don't know what they're doing. Xavier Woods runs through a gap thinking he's going to get a tackle for loss. Donovan Wilson, he's at the top. He blocks himself. This is the second time, Marcellus, in 3 weeks I've seen Cowboys defenders block themselves. In the screen, you see DBs running. They're running, Marcellus. They're running. They're trying. They're trying. But my coach used to tell me in college, he said, Acho, a 4.440 is just a fast mistake.
I like that.
A 4.440 is just a fast mistake.
That.
The Dallas Cowboys right now are making a bunch of fast mistakes. That play in and of itself showed you it is not about effort. You were already down by 21 points. The Cowboys had every reason to mail it in. The defenders did. Those safeties and Trayvon Diggs, the backside cornerback, he had every reason not to run. You were not going to catch Kenyon Drake. But they were still working hard. They're just handicapped schematically. They're handicapped intellectually as far as doing their job at that time. I put that on the coach.
Stop it. Let me correct you, first of all. If you lose your MVP and you lose your quarterback, you don't always lose, because if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you got Carson Wentz, you lose Carson Wentz, what happens? Confetti. I had to punch you today, since we're not talking Carson Wentz today. Let me also push back on you in terms of your video you just showed. Look, every coach always talks about gap discipline. Be where you're supposed to be, right? Go to your gap. Be responsible. But there is a trump card to go into your gap. What is that?
Make the play.
Make the damn play. Go to the ball.
That's the only trump card.
But that's the only trump card. And guess what? There's no situation where you block yourself, and that's on coach. You know why you blocked yourself? Because either you didn't move, or you didn't go to your responsibility, or you didn't play the trump card and go to the ball.
Let me push back.
Come on.
I've been in these linebacker meetings where we have safeties and you have people of other positions. I'm not going to lose y'all with names and whatnot. You have people who are playing out of position. The Cowboys had players in that game, in that instance, who, why are you there? Okay, you're there because of the call. But if you're there because of the call, you don't know what you're doing. I watch that, Marcellus, and I get sick because I'm like, yes, it is, because if I'm looking at these linebackers, and you'll see it again, if I'm looking at these linebackers, they don't know what they're doing. The deep safety, Marcellus, is 6 yards off the ball. That is coaching. The coach, even if you don't tell me beforehand, yell at me during the game, get back. Back the heck up. If you're 6 yards from the ball, you can't see nothing. They can't see anything.
Hold on, Acho, you still are analyst, not a player. You are hype. Let me tell you this. When the ball snapped, is there anyone's responsibility to just stay there? Like to just stand still? I saw that in the video. Now, that's on coach. You think coaches actually coach them? When the ball snapped, I want you to play read coverage. Hell no. Attack it in the downhill.
But here's what I would say.
Come on.
If you or I were to bring a friend on this set and be like, hey, all you got to do when a red light comes on, just talk. What would happen? It would be terrible, because they need some instruction. They need some direction, unless they're obviously a natural talent, blah, blah, blah. But not semantics. They need instruction. My issue here, Marcellus, is the Cowboys players don't have instruction. The coach told me. He said, a trash can can make a tackle if it's in the right position. You don't have to sometimes be overly skilled. Just be in the right position. To me, that is on the coaches. And that is why I can hear the players starting to say, look, these coaches suck, man. No,
the coaches suck because you suck more, and you don't want to say that. You don't want to agree with that. You don't want to internalize that. So that's what happens to every single athlete. Our egos are out of control. Why?
That's true.
Because we are one in a million. To come from the masses, to come from the crowded bottom rung of a ladder, which is high school football, Pop Warner football. Every single dude walking around with wristbands and towels thinking they're going to the NFL. To climb up that ladder, your ego has to be out of control. Once you get up there, and then it all gets relative. Acho, all state in high school. Acho, great at UT. Acho, get to the league, and you look around, you're like, everybody good. I said the same thing, and I came from a small school, but you know what happens? How many times I was on that field, and I had to block that out. My past doesn't matter. There's no entitlement in football. The last play doesn't matter, and the play that's going to happen next is the only moment of truth. These guys have been told what to do. I've been on that field 1,000 times, made 1,000 mistakes, and knew that my coach already told me. On a stunt, I was supposed to step into the B gap. What did I do? I thought I saw something else and didn't do that.
Let me ask you something.
Come on.
If there was a one-off player issue, then I would blame it on the player. If I saw a Cowboys linebacker, Jalen Smith, it's just his fault. If I saw one player just fumbling, like we saw last game with Zeke, you know what, maybe it's just on Zeke. If I saw one receiver dropping a pass, maybe it's just on Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. The problem we're seeing in Dallas, everyone is making mistakes. And because everyone is
Dak was getting
No. Remember, Dak was turning the ball over too. Dak was fumbling. Dalton Schultz was fumbling. And the reason I say it is when I was in Philly 2014, every day we started practice, the first 10 minutes, turnover circuit. And it was intentional, try to strip the arm from the quarterback, punch out the ball. Our defense was not great. But we led the NFL in forced turnovers. Why? Not coincidence. It wasn't happenstance. Every day we started trying to force a turnover. So what happened come game time? We forced turnovers. Are the Cowboys starting every day with a 10-minute circuit of ball protection?
Stop it, Acho.